Thursday, how are you?
Good. It's Friday Eve, so that's always good.
Oh my goodness, that is so good. Ah, I have a new software that I am using right now,
Yeah,
and I try to do it. It's after, tú te ayuda, tú te motiva, tú aprendes,
claro.
I can't wait. I never used it before,
Yeah,
so I can't wait to start using it again. So how are you?
good, good. Thank you for having me. Excited to join the podcast and just share a little bit.
Oh my goodness. So, yes, I'm so excited. I've been wanting to have a one-on-one with you, and finally I got it.
It's sometimes it's just calendars are so crazy. Year end, right? Q4, so a lot of things going on. But when it's something that you always want to do, you find time, right? You
Right?
make time for something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so excited what is about to come in the next few months, and then it's a new year. You either can rebrand yourself if you want to,
Yeah,
or do things that you always wanted to do and it's in the bucket list. But I
absolutely.
can't wait to start talking about everything. But first of all, I wanted to say thank you for taking the time and poner un tiempito right next to you so you can talk to me and share your story with others.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
muchas gracias, muchas gracias. So, obviously, because we do know a lot of people in common, but also, I wanted to introduce you to everyone. So, I wanted to introduce Juan Paez Romero. And dime, ¿quién es Juan Paez?
There's so many different avenues to take, right? There's a personal side of me, there's a professional side of me, but I think within the last couple of years, as I've kind of branded myself, the personal and the professional side have always been the same individual, right? They don't change. So a little background. My family's original from Ecuador. So I was born in Ecuador. I have an older sister and my parents. And back in 2000, my parents decided to make the move to the US to give us a better future, education, new opportunities. So we came here, I was 5 years old. And
Oh,
I already finished kindergarten in Ecuador. And I always like to share this story because when I arrived to the US, I had to redo kindergarten. And it was probably the best experience I had because I did not know one word of English. Not a hello, where's the bathroom, none of that. So, kind of starting from the get go, from the ABCs, the one, two, threes, it kind of prepared me to be the person I am today. And it was just because of the lack of understanding of a different culture, right? A different language. So a lot of things in a very young age kind of shaped me in who I am. The reason why I like to support others, being in a kind of a Spanglish community, if there's ever an opportunity to translate, support, guide, I was very young when I was put into situations where I couldn't speak to others when I needed help, and that kind of stuck with me. That
I
that that really just shaped who I am as a person.
Yeah, I think back in the day, I think we all went through it with the Spanish and English. And, unfortunately, back then, there wasn't a lot of people who looked like us, but there wasn't a lot of people who were there to help you. Not because
Yeah,
they didn't want to, it
yeah,
just they felt some type of way. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be, because that happened to me in,
yeah,
when I first came in. I wanted to help others, but I was also learning myself. But in
correct.
a class full of people, you always like scared. Is
Yeah,
it okay to help them? I was, no sé si eso te pasaba, que you were really reserved to yourself because you were learning, and I
yeah.
was scared.
And I think you hit on a point too that I was kind of concerned of like, can I help? Like,
Right?
do I know, one, do I know enough to help? Two, are other people doing this? Are they kind of just trying to stay away because they don't see others doing it, right? Sometimes you're like, I'd rather step away from the situation because one, maybe I don't want to overstep, or two, I don't
Mhm.
want to do something wrong. But I
Yeah.
think over the last couple of years, that's been completely different, right? I think
So
the
happy.
Spanish community, any different community as well, has kind of gained their voice, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about this in regard to my involvement with the chamber,
Yeah.
but it's something you're proud of, right? If that's something that's a part of you, and you're able to share it with other individuals.
I think that, obviously, we always been here. We always been shipping in, either through our knowledge or we wanted to do something for the community. But I think, obviously I've seen not only you, all of us is sticking together. I think that we always been proud, but now we can be open and proud about
Yeah,
it. Yeah, and that makes me, obviously, that makes you feel, so proud. And, all of us together, I think, working together, we definitely making a change.
yeah,
And, I wanted to talk to you about so many things that it came in. When I read your bio, I was so inspired. And even though that we known each other and we met, recently, I was like, where have you been? You could have done so many other things back in the day, but I'm glad to have you in my circle, and I'm
yeah,
glad that you have me. And thank you for the messages, and we definitely were gonna do a lot of more things
yeah,
together. But I'm very inspired with your story. So I have a couple of questions, obviously, just to talk to you and to get to know you better.
yeah,
um so I know that you mentioned that you're from Ecuador.
yeah.
Is the whole family here? How is the process about having the family? If you, is, si tu familia está en Ecuador, o cómo es la transición ahora?
Sí, es un poco interesante porque mi papá, y siempre estoy mal, mi papá es uno de 12 o uno de 10 en el Ecuador.
Big families,
Entonces,
huh?
very big,
Yeah,
very big. And
same
my mom
here.
on the other side, she's one of three. But their entire family is in Ecuador, right? Our entire family is in Ecuador. So when I joke around and I say we have a tribe in Ecuador, like I mean it. It's a
Yeah,
very large family. So when we came to the US, we only had a uncle, one of my dad's sisters, and that was pretty much it. Like it was a very handful amount of people, a couple
yeah,
cousins, that we stuck very closely with, and we're very close with now, right? Our cousins, my nephews, and everything. We're very close. But what became so important was other individuals that came into our life as friends that have become family,
yeah.
right? So, although not by blood, but just through sacrifices and stories and things we've gone through as friends, have kind of become this what I see as families, right? Uncles, cousins,
Yeah.
brothers, that we've built over the years. So, yes, our immediate family is all in Ecuador, still in Ecuador, but the family that we have here by blood and not by blood has just become so much stronger.
I love that. I love that because I relate to that. My whole family is in Puerto Rico. So my kids that were born here, and Christmases and holidays and birthdays, it was only the four of us.
Yeah,
A small group, and
exactly.
and I don't have any regrets because we made it feel like it was a bunch of people with the love, but it was
Yeah,
only us. And and like you said, extended, people that they become your family,
yes.
and they are there throughout the years. So I love that we have that in common. I'm pretty sure there's so many stories like that in the
Oh,
US,
absolutely. Well,
um
I want to share one quick funny story.
yeah.
My wife, she's American. I think she may be watching, Brittany. And
Hey, Brittany.
when we joined, it was like, are your family gatherings always like this? Because it's a lot of us. It's like 30 of us. So whenever we do anything, whether it's a birthday party, a celebration, a gathering,
Yeah.
it's always 30 plus. And it was always
Though.
like, is this your family? And it's like, yes and no.
Yeah.
They're family because of how close we are, but they're not family by blood, and that doesn't differentiate us.
Yeah.
But it's always like 30 of us. Like we're always a large group, and that I personally love that about our culture and how close we are.
I think definitely our culture has, a lot of people know more, then we used to share because obviously our gatherings are so many,
Yeah.
and we invite everyone. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
your background, doesn't matter your
Yep.
color. Just come and you're gonna
The
know how to.
neighbors, the friends, like
Yeah,
everyone's
you're
invited.
gonna teach them a few words in Spanish, bad and good. That
Yeah.
happens. But I love how we I love how we are.
Yeah.
How we do things.
Absolutely. I think I lost your
Like with
voice.
your background and everything else. As a first generation college graduate, how did you face? How you kept motivation for you being the first one in your family?
Yeah, I give everything to my parents. Um,
Uh,
I whenever I think of a hero, a role model, a guide, my mom and my dad are always the two images that I look up to. As fathers, as friends, as brothers, those are always the two individuals that I truly want to be like as I grow older. And coming to the US, that was kind of the motive, right? Is give our kids the opportunities that we didn't have in Ecuador. But it was also very difficult because my sister didn't finish her bachelor's. We didn't know what FAFSA was. Just due to legal situations or statuses,
yeah,
that wasn't an option. So it was kind of really alone, like a lone path,
yeah,
because I didn't have other back then. It was kind of like shush, like you really don't want to like mention, the legal status
yeah.
or what the current situation is. So I was kind of just trying to figure it out on my own, right? So when I graduated from Derby High School back in 2013, my goal was always to be in like criminal justice, the law enforcement, whether it was the Army Forces, National Guard, police, and I even wanted to apply for those, but I couldn't because of legal status. So I was like, okay, well, if that's not going to be an option, let me maybe find something within the legal space.
Yeah.
So I applied to University of New Haven because they had the best criminal justice school, and I think they still do. Um, and I got back the acceptance, so I got accepted, but I was told that I have to pay as an out of state student, although I lived in Connecticut.
Huh.
So the rate was almost double to an in-state student. And it like we financially just couldn't afford
Couldn't
that.
afford it.
So the option was, well, let me go to community college, get my associates, and then get my bachelor's. And through this entire time, I was always working full time. So I worked full time and I went to school part time. And there was days where I had school from 8 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night because I did that twice a week. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I worked full time. So my kind of like my education path was get your associates and then figure it out.
Yeah.
So as I was working in the financial sector, I worked with a local company here in Shelton called Barnum Financial Group. I joke around. I grew up there practically. I started when I was 18. And just the people, the individuals, the friendships that I built there really helped me mold as well as a professional. And just learning more about the industry, I was like, hey, I kind of like business. I like this business side. Law enforcement, unfortunately, wasn't an option.
Hmm.
So then I was like, okay, what options do I have on the business side? And that's where Sacred Heart was introduced. Just doing research, one of the top business schools. Um, and I graduated with my associates. I got good grades and got accepted to Sacred Heart. And that's where I completed my bachelor's of business administration. Um, but throughout this whole process, it was kind of a different concept, right? A lot of my high school friends, they went to their 4 year school, lived in college, lived the dorm life, were having a good time. I, on the other hand, I was working full time, going to school, going to my class, doing my work, and heading back to work. So I never kind of experienced that campus 4 year school lifestyle, but I matured so much differently just because of working full time and going to school part time.
I love that. Sometimes you gotta, looking back, the sacrifices that you made, but at the end, it gave you a different path in life which
Absolutely.
yeah, you're doing everything. I'm pretty sure, and I can see it, when when I'm with you, that you love what you do. I mean, if you're
Hmm.
gonna give something back, you got to give it all,
Yeah.
just to do a better job. What are the common challenges that you see, in business, facing in growth, in terms about, you growing in the business?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because where I sit now and the company that I work for, it's called Insperity. We're a human capital company that works with small to medium sized businesses.
Hmm.
Now, when we partner with organizations, we do a lot of everything that's human capital, payroll, workers' comp. But at the end of the day, it's how can we make sure that your employees are getting everything they need to feel like they're with an employer of choice, to feel like they're valued as individuals, as humans. So in today's world, it has become where I want to give everything to my employees, but one, I'm not able to afford it, or two, I just don't understand what options are out there to provide that to my employees.
Let's
So
talk about exactly what you offer in the company that you
yeah,
at right now. What exactly do you offer, so we can have a better understanding before we continue?
absolutely. So if you look at a traditional business, right, a
Hmm.
company in itself, when we are talking about the human resources division, the HR side of things, a traditional business, which is 80% of traditional businesses, are made up of split up parts. So they have a payroll vendor, which is one technology, one partnership. They have a benefits broker, which is one partnership, but maybe a separate technology. And let's say maybe a workers' comp broker as well, another partner, another vendor, another technology. As a business, now you're kind of dealing with three different individuals, three companies, three technologies, which at times could be kind of overwhelming.
Yes.
It could get confusing. You may not know exactly what's happening between all three because there's no communication. And the way we as Insperity, we come in and kind of help that and alleviate that is, well, instead of having three partners, three vendors, three technologies,
You
why don't
merge.
we just reallocate? Exactly. We reallocate one, all those expenses, two, all those vendors, and three, all that technology under one platform.
Love that. Love it. Is it other companies who they actually merge and do the same, or you guys have that market, both for all businesses?
So it's interesting because the organization that I'm with, we're actually celebrating the 39th year of being in business. We're headquartered out of Houston, Texas, and we are pretty much nationwide. So we have an office in every state.
I love
Um,
that.
Within the last 39 years, we have close to 15,000 clients. And within those clients, we have close to 500,000 lives, right? So employees, dependents. So this concept is not new, but to answer your question, it's new to a lot of businesses that don't know what options are out there
Yeah.
for their employees or for their businesses in general.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you tell us about a success story in the business that you have helped through HR and strategies?
Yeah. So I recently, when I joined Insperity, I was introduced to an individual who was kind of in the startup mode, right? So very small organization, was just getting things off the ground, pretty much starting. And we in the business, we joke around, you didn't become an entrepreneur to become an HR specialist, right? You became an
Okay.
entrepreneur to grow your business, to spread the word, whether it's a service, a product, a niche industry that you want to get involved with. That's what drives an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Growing the brand, growing the support and service. But you still, as a business, you have to be a professional, right? You have to run payroll. You need to make sure you're in compliance. Everything has to be done properly,
Yes.
documented. Once you hit 50 employees, you have to offer benefits, right? All these things that kind of like as an entrepreneur, it's in the back of their mind.
I think most of the most of the businesses or entrepreneurs or people who leave corporate or they want to start a business, they don't realize that it's not only having a LLC or a small company. And there's so much that you have to, one, research,
Yeah.
Second, definitely um, surround yourself with all the industries, just to get to know them, or somebody who knows somebody that,
Yeah.
the good and the bad, because you have to learn by mistakes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
and
having you guys as a company to offer all those services under one umbrella, it can make a big difference for the first and the second year of an established business. So
yeah,
that's important.
absolutely. And we're just talking about one state, right? Let's talk about just an individual that's in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Connecticut laws, just like any other state,
Mm.
change on a
Oh yeah.
biweekly, monthly, yearly basis. But while you're running your business, that's the last thing that's on your mind. So we as a partner, we kind of have this proactive then reactive approach. So as things are changing, we're updating employee handbooks. We're saying, hey, Sonia, you have to keep in mind of this change for hours, time and attendance, punching in and
Yeah.
out. That's one state. What if you're multi-state? Now you have to
Yeah.
think about New York laws and California laws, two of the toughest states to work out of. We are the professionals there, right? Like that's our profession. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis. So kind of let us alleviate that kind of tedious everyday
Yes.
running of a business, and you do everything else, which is growing the brand, firing, hiring, whatever the case may be, that's
Yeah.
to be a successful brand. We'll make sure that you stay within compliance. And then as you're scaling or descaling, you're staying within compliance, but still growing the business.
Absolutely. You said something so important. I've been in the business for a long time, and obviously getting a good team behind the companies
Yeah.
are super important. I mean, right now for the first time, I'm gonna say it. I'm being audited for the
Yeah.
first time, and not for the first time, but first time. Obviously as myself as an owner for both companies.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, thank God that I had an amazing payroll company, an amazing attorney that has been my attorney for over 20 years,
Yeah.
a CPA that is phenomenal. So they are not only alleviating, the stress, because it's
Yeah.
always going to be a stress with that.
Of
Uh,
course.
but having the right team behind you, I can imagine other companies, or thankfully I have them, right next to me in,
Of
and
course.
they are teaching me, it's basically. And you know what, I gotta say, up front, don't be scared, when that time comes. Obviously, if you're protected and have the
Yeah.
right team with you, but you learn, obviously, as a company, like you said, I do business in other states, so we always making sure that everything is, in terms about licensing, in
Well,
terms
yeah.
about, making sure that we are legit. And
Correct.
if we cannot do it, we have to make the change, immediately.
Exactly.
And the states that don't they don't seem to realize, hey, listen, if you have 30 days, you have to be on point on
Yeah.
everything.
Exactly.
So having you guys, I didn't know that you guys do everything, and I'm so glad that we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
So I can tell other people, and obviously there's a lot of people joining, so they can actually know and
Correct.
get in contact with you. Okay, let's
Absolutely.
talk about other little things. So okay, just doing it. Okay, this is good. How how can HR can be used just for payroll or compliances? Obviously, we talked about that. So we're gonna move forward. Okay, what are some of the mistakes the business owners make, so they can actually avoid it? Give us some tips.
Yeah, I mean, there's such simple little things that, again, as a business owner, you're not thinking of, right? And it could be as simple as termination. Well, actually, that's not simple.
Yes.
That's very serious. Termination is
Yes.
very serious. And if not done properly, in today's world, there is a 1-800 lawyer number that they could pick up and put in a claim, right?
Yes.
Unlawful termination. But as a business owner, if you have the right partnership, like you touched on, right, having the right individuals in there, you have to make sure that everything is documented properly,
Yes.
right? So you had a conversation with an individual because of something they had done, it has to be documented, right? Whether someone has to be there as a witness of how serious the event is, that needs to be documented. If you follow the right protocols and put someone on a PIP, that has to be documented, right? Sometimes as business owners, we think, oh, well, we shook on it, handshake, we separated, we're all
Big
good.
mistake. Yes.
Awful mistake, because if
Yeah.
nothing was documented, well, now it's a he said, she said situation,
And
right? So,
unfortunately, with the laws right now, we have to protect not only our companies, is your reputation.
your
Uh,
reputation, yeah.
it's
Everything
so,
you've
yeah.
built, right?
Hmm.
Everything you've built could just be lost within a matter of seconds. So one of the most important ones is how serious documentation is, right? Making sure that your documentation is taken care of. Another one that we've noticed too is workers' comp and coding. So, right, if it's the right title of an individual or the role
Power on.
itself, it's a different code for that title based on the state,
Power on.
right? So if you are in
Bluetooth
different
connected.
states and different area codes, and the titles are, well, that's the title for everyone,
Yeah.
but everyone has a different job description, then that's a different workers' comp code for every individual.
Well,
So if you're not thinking about the full spectrum of title, job description, area code, what they do on a day-to-day basis,
yeah.
then if everything is not matching, then your workers' comp code isn't accurate. Meaning, if something happens and workers' comp needs to be involved, are they properly coded? Like, are they properly going to be taken care of on the workers' comp side? So little things like that. Or even as a job posting, right? In the state of New York, you need to post the salary for the role that you're reporting.
Yeah.
If you don't post that, that could be fined. That could be something that they could come after you as a business saying, "Hey, in the state of New York, these are regulations and laws that you need to abide by."
Wow. And looking back, is it like that in Connecticut?
I believe Connecticut is one of the states that you may or may not require it. I would have to double check.
Thank you. Check that for me because next year I want to keep continue growing. Obviously, a lot of things has
Yeah,
changed. It's super important. Okay,
absolutely.
for mid-sized businesses, when is the right time to invest in HR? Right away. Obviously this is important.
That's one thing that for us we can kind of join at any time, right? I mentioned a little bit of a startup, so
Yeah.
we join them so we can grow with them and scale as it goes. If it's already a mid-sized business and they already have maybe an HR infrastructure, then we can still, implement ourselves with them. But I always like to share, we're not here to replace anyone, right? We're not here to replace an HR department. We're not here to replace HR individuals. We're here to be an extension of your HR. So
Good.
if you have an organization where your HR team is just wearing hundreds of hats and they're tied up doing payroll and time and attendance and employee handbooks and job descriptions, what about the tasks that are needed to make sure the employees are being heard? What about tasks that are important for the organization to keep growing? Well, they can't do that because they're doing everything else, right? So, at a point where an organization feels like they're just wearing way too many hats, they're way too overwhelmed, that's when it's kind of time to partner with an organization that could alleviate a lot of those tedious payroll, time and attendance, PTO tracking, making sure everything is accurate. We can step in, alleviate a lot of things. So you could get better with what we call it's a get better agenda, right? So if there's
Yeah.
projects or initiatives that the HR division or even C-suite itself they want to express to the organization, we can alleviate a lot of the tedious stuff and they could get better with the get better agenda.
I love that, and it's so important because, as a business owner, we want to do it all. We
Yeah,
think that we can cover everything. And I think that that's one of the common mistakes as a small business owner, as a new business owner in
yeah,
the first, 3 to 5 years, you think that, okay, let me oversee everything. And
exactly.
that is the biggest mistake because you are doing too many things at the same
Yeah, you're getting pulled everywhere.
disregard certain things because I can do it later and don't go back
Exactly.
to it. So I love everything that you're doing, in terms about, and especially, you help everyone, including the Latino community, which we're going to get there right now.
Yeah.
As a community, we're going to talk now of community, family, and values.
Yes.
As a father, community advocate, because obviously I follow you and I'm so proud of you. How do you balance career, family, and community involvement?
Oh man, that's tough. We everyone has 24 hours in one day, right? And it's very strategic to kind of understand how much time can you put in this, how much can you kind of share over here. But I have to start with one thing is I have to thank my wife and my parents for always being such a support system, because if it wasn't for them and always supporting me and all the crazy things that I'm always involved in, I wouldn't be able to do anything, right? So the most important thing is kind of just aligning yourself to what's meaningful to you, what's meaningful to your values, your morals. And that's always been helping individuals, right? So with Insperity, my goal is to spread
Power
pretty much
on.
the support and
Bluetooth
what we do for
on.
businesses regardless of the state, right? We're nationwide.
Yeah.
So anyone that's listening from Florida, California, New York, we can support. But here in Connecticut itself, I've the last year has been a mission and goal to kind of tie Juan with Insperity and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to know that, hey, whether you're a Latino business owner, a business owner in general, looking for guidance and support, I'll always be there to help out.
That is so important because I've been seeing you. I for some reason I have everybody's calling right now. I'm doing it from the cell phone. Big mistake, big mistake. Go ahead, listen. This is a conversation. I
Hey,
like I like to do it organically.
exactly.
So okay, so let's talk about, okay, as a Latino, you know what? I'm gonna put this aside because we already covered most of the things, but I want to talk to you about, obviously you involved at the chamber, you involved with organizations, obviously to help, the small business.
Yeah.
What is next for you? What do you want to do? And it's gonna be a new year soon.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you wanted to do, and what is it?
That's such a it's a very big question, very broad question. Um, I want to just keep helping, to be honest. I want to keep helping. And it doesn't matter how it is that I'm providing the support. Um, whether it's Insperity and business owners, whether it's a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and individuals wanting to know what's out there in the community for their businesses and their continued growth. Or I most recently joined this Slack channel. It's called Dad Good. It's a group of dads throughout the entire US and the world, really. And there's about 1,300 members, 1,300 dads. And I joined this group because it's a group of dads that want to be better at home and in their profession,
I
right?
love that.
So whether it's being a better father, a husband, a professional, we're kind of there to support one another. There's a lot of vulnerability, right? Owning up to things that you may have done that you wish you'd done differently. Understanding our children as they're growing, which Cameron keeps me on my toes. Camila is the little sunshine of happiness, and
Oh,
it's you know I just want to be a helper and a better individual every year that comes, pretty much.
and listen, since I met you, you have this incredible passion about life, and that drew me to you, and obviously that's why we're here. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel the same way because when I posted that it was going to be you in this little segment, everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, you got the right person." So you already have a village of people who
Yeah,
they adore you and they respect you,
yeah,
and and obviously it's like a business, your life. I think that if you surround yourself with the right people, and
absolutely.
and and go places. And I think I see life completely different this year.
Yeah,
Obviously, I wanted to do things that I never done before, that I thought that, hey, listen, maybe it's not right for me.
yeah,
But every room is an opportunity. Uh
absolutely.
Either personal or business.
Yeah,
But you if you show up in those rooms, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact that we can make a difference.
absolutely.
So for all of you that are there, how can they reach out, even though the information is going to be down here? How can they can actually reach out to you and
Yeah.
talk to you about whatever they need for services.
I'm surprised, and I'm honestly surprised I haven't said the word LinkedIn in this entire conversation, because in all honesty, LinkedIn is what's kind of gotten our introduction. How
Yes.
we got connected, conversations with individuals I never thought I would have spoken to before. Even just in today's setting right now, speaking to you on a podcast. 3 years ago, that Juan would have never done this. He would have never had this conversation.
Power
He would have
on.
never been comfortable enough to have this conversation. So I get this joke around. Someone gave me the title Obi-Wan of LinkedIn. And it kind of just stuck with me. I'm like, all right, I like Star Wars. I like the
Yeah.
Disney World. And it's kind of like master of LinkedIn. I am no master. I am no professional of LinkedIn. But within the last 3 years and the 11,000 people community that I've built on LinkedIn has truly become kind of this platform. And I take this back to what my dad once told me and still tells me as a very young kid. It goes, wherever you go, no matter what you do, you're representing the last name on your back, right? So when I did sports, we always had Paez on the back of my shirt. And he goes, no matter the situation, no matter the location, whether it's at a grocery store, at the car wash, in a boardroom, with C-suite, with your boss, with
Mhm.
your colleagues, you are a representation of who the Paez name is. So always make sure you are honoring that. And that kind of stuck with me in any conversation. Like you mentioned, in any room that I walk into, I am Juan Paez-Romero. I'm here to represent myself, the people behind me, the companies, the names that are tied to my name, and I'm always here to represent it proudly. So if anyone ever wants to know who Juan is or how to connect with Juan, LinkedIn has kind of become this like bibliography of who I am and what I do.
It has changed a lot. Before it used to be LinkedIn, it was the place to be for businesses. Yes, it's always
Yes,
been. But
exactly.
now, in the past few years, I totally agree with you. It's a platform that it gives you so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And they see you, but they see you and they respect you.
Yes.
Because it's everything that you do is there.
Exactly.
Obviously, we have Facebook that is like more personal,
Yeah.
Instagram that is like more, for things like
Well,
this.
fun,
But
engaging.
yeah, but like you said, and I said, every platform, it is an opportunity for
Absolutely.
us to shine and tell a story. But your story is still written. People
Oh yes.
I love that you are taking chances and see where it's gonna lead you. But I'm a fan. Continue doing what you
Thank you,
do.
Sonia.
And everybody who comes over here, they gotta talk to Spanish, at least a sentence. So dime, ¿qué tú quieres en el futuro para ti, Juan, para tu familia y para tu negocio?
Claro, lo más importante, como te he dicho, es mi familia, ¿verdad? Mis hijos, mi esposa, mis padres. Lo que yo quiero ser es en el futuro ser la mejor versión de lo que sea, ¿verdad? Si es siendo un padre, quiero ser el mejor padre para mis hijos. Para mi esposa, quiero ser el mejor esposo para mi esposa. Para mis negocios, las compañías con las que yo trabajo, quiero ser la persona en que ellos pueden ir y preguntar, ok, necesito ayuda con esto, quiero que me ayudes en esto, no sé si tú me puedes ayudar o me puedes hacer una introducción para otras personas. Eso es
Ujú.
lo que yo quiero para todos, pero especialmente como tú me dijiste, estamos creciendo, ¿verdad? Esta historia todavía no se acaba y espero que hagan más oportunidades para tener estas conversaciones, para poder eh, decir mi historia un poco más, porque creo que hay tantas personas, tantos individuales que están, maybe estuvieron en mi comienzo y no saben
Ujú.
que maybe hay un futuro en the horizon. Y cuando uno puede oír esta historia, y yo no soy famoso, yo no soy millonario, yo no soy nada de eso, pero como tú dices, yo soy bien como proud de lo que tengo, de lo que tiene mi
Orgulloso,
familia,
orgulloso.
muy orgulloso de lo que tengo en este momento, que solo quiero ser la mejor versión en cualquier momento que estoy.
Me encanta, me encantó tu historia. Love your story. Love what you are all about. You know, business, family, passion,
Yeah,
vision. So continue doing what you're doing because you're doing exactly what the community needs. Another leader, you know, somebody who's going to help them in the good
yeah,
and the bad. You know, economy is
absolutely.
really hard right now. They just, you know, trying to save money as you know, whatever
Yeah,
they can do. But I'm super proud of you. Como
thank you, Sonia.
latina, estoy bien orgulloso de ti. Sigue
Yeah,
para adelante. Amazing, amazing story. And we will see each other soon in the next
absolutely.
event.
Yes.
Pero muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much
Gracias,
for taking a
Sonia,
little
for
time.
thank you for creating this platform. Thank you for giving us again the voice to share, and we're very thankful for everything you do for us as well.
I will see you in the next step. And the next time, I know that I'm going to see you in a platform speaking. I'm going to be there just to be clapping and saying, I know him.
From your lips to God's ears, we'll see.
I love it. I
Thank
love
you,
it.
Sonia.
Muchísimas gracias. And
Thank you,
thank you,
everyone, for joining.
everyone. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. And have yourself a beautiful, beautiful rest of the day.
You too. Bye
Ciao,
bye.
everyone.